There are 5 important reasons why your solo content isn't working for you. So let's get right to it. Hey y'all, Crystal here today, and we are covering the 5 reasons that your solo content just isn't working. Now, as someone who does podcast, blog posts, and YouTube videos, I can tell you that whenever it comes to solo content, it's basically the same principles applied to all the different types of content. So if you're creating solo podcast episodes, solo blog posts, and totally solo YouTube videos, it is going to look very different than if you are creating interview style content. And we're going to dive into that, into the reasons why your content may not be working, but I just wanted to kind of paint a very clear picture about what solo content is. And as someone that's created more than 1,000 podcast episodes, hundreds of YouTube videos, and more than 700 solo pieces of podcast content and more than 400 plus YouTube videos, mostly solo, I can tell you that I've learned a thing or two about how to make it better and why some things work and others don't. So let's dive right in. The first reason why your solo content may not be working is a formatting issue. Now, like I said earlier, the interview style doesn't technically apply in the same way to solo content. So if you're a solo podcaster, you can't just sit down, hit record, and have a conversation because it's just yourself. So whenever you're formatting, whether it's a podcast episode or a video, you have to really set things up more on the front end. And it's really helpful if you have either a script or an outline whenever you are putting together what you're going to talk about. Otherwise, you will go on tangents. You will go down rabbit holes, and then you'll be thinking to yourself, how did I get here? What was the point I was trying to make? I don't even know why I brought this topic up. You don't want to do that. You're wasting your audience's time, and you're wasting your time, and possibly more time editing and post-production when you realize what a bad mistake it was to include this 15-minute long story about something that is not relevant to your audience. So get your formatting down. Maybe find some solo content that you like to consume and ask yourself, what can I take away from this creator? Or if you want to check out some solo content, I highly recommend, I have a daily podcast. It's called The Potty Report. Yes, that is a woman sitting on the toilet looking at her phone and it is 5 minutes or less. It's daily content Monday through Friday, but it's a great example of how you can format short pieces of solo content. You can also check out the Proffitt Podcast, where I have tons of solo episodes, and you can see how that differs from interview style content. So reason number 1 why your solo content may not be working is simply a formatting issue, and you can tweak it and make it a little bit better. I actually have a lot of formatting resources that I'm gonna link to in the video description that you can also check out after this video. The second reason why your solo content may not be working is your lack of outlines or scripts. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but at the end of the day, if you are just turning on your microphone or turning on your camera and you're hoping to just have all these incredible thoughts and ideas and speech fall out of your mouth, it's typically not going to happen unless you are a professional speaker and you do this for a living. But I got to be honest, I have a good friend, Heather Sager. Shout out Heather. She's awesome. But she's a speaking coach, and she says, no, like it's actually really hard to do that. And the people that look incredible on stage, the ones that make it look effortless, they practice, and they typically have an outline or they have their entire speech written out and they practice it so many times that it becomes second nature. So I want to make sure that you are implementing formats, scripts, outlines for what you are creating in your solo content, because it will make it that much better and that much more succinct, to the point, and very straightforward for your audience to consume it. So I also have some resources on scripting and outlining your podcast episodes, but you can also apply this to your YouTube content. So check those out in the video description below. Now we got to talk about reason number 3 why your solo content may not be working. And this isn't so much working as in it's super like performance wise, succeeding, downloads, views, all that. This is more on the back end for you. It's not working for you as a creator, like behind the scenes. And one of those things is headphones as a solo podcaster. I gotta just call this out for a second. I actually have this video here where I talk about why you don't need headphones. Like, it's very unpopular belief that I know I'll get a lot of comments from people that are like, you must wear headphones. What kind of podcaster doesn't wear headphones? I don't. When I'm creating solo content, I do not wear headphones. They're uncomfortable. My ears do this weird thing where they get sweaty and I'm like, what is even happening? I don't wear headphones whenever I am creating my solo podcast content, but that's my comfort level. So you have to do the same thing for your environment in order to continue to creating your solo content. So I know other people that will tape a picture to the behind the camera or their microphone when they're creating content because they want to have a specific person in mind. Maybe it's their best friend, maybe it's a previous client, maybe it's somebody from their audience that they know personally, but they want to have this personal connection to someone while they're speaking alone in a room, totally by themselves, because we haven't really addressed this first, but it's awkward when you first start doing solo content. Tell me in the comments. I want to know if you've had that experience where you're sitting there and you hit record, whether it's on a video or a podcast, and you're like, so I just start talking and I just speak into the microphone or into the camera and it's supposed to feel natural. It's supposed to feel normal. No, for most people, it doesn't. I would actually love to know if you have any visceral reactions to whenever I just talk about creating solo content. If you're not doing it currently, you're like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what it is. Super cringeworthy. It's so awkward. You're not alone. This happens to everybody, but I would love to know if you've had that experience too. So tell us in the comments below. Okay, let's get back to the video. And the fourth reason why your solo content may not be working is you're overthinking it. And what I mean by this is oftentimes we think that we have to have this profound thought. It's super scary when we go out and we don't have another person to lean on, because let's be honest, when you do a podcast episode, when you do a YouTube video, you're leaning on the other person, whether you're leaning on their expertise or the value that they bring as someone who's outside of your audience and they're coming in and sharing something special. You can do this back and forth dialogue, but by definition, when you're doing solo content, it's a monologue. It is not something where you can really lean on someone else, but don't overthink it. You have to just get started. And this actually brings me into reason number 5, and that is practice. You have to keep practicing. I know it's hard. I know it's messy. I know it's super awkward and cringeworthy. I know this. I have been there. I've totally been through the weird stages, the awkward stages, the ultra cringe-worthy moments of just saying, it's just me? Really? This is just me. I'm just talking into a mic and I'm pretending that someone's listening to me. This is so unnatural. But I can tell you, like I said earlier, as someone that's produced more than 1,000 podcast episodes and more than 75% of them have been solo content, it gets easier. It does get easier. The more you do it, the more you practice, the more times you put in the reps of creating solo content, that's how much easier it's going to be. But you got to just keep doing it. You got to show up when it's messy and it's awkward, and you have to just embrace and accept the fact that you're going to get better the more that you do it. But those are the 5 reasons why your solo content may not be working, but also how to fix them. I have so many resources for you linked in the video description, so make sure you check those out below. But that's all I have for you today. So make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe below, that way you don't miss our future episodes all about content strategy and content creation, and of course, creating with confidence. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.